Welcome to the Further Light Podcast, presented by Wisconsin Freemasonry, helping you accomplish your Masonic goals through education and more light. And now, I present to you, Brother Napoleon Sneed Janczak. Have you ever found yourself just browsing the internet, looking at various esoteric topics and searching out Freemasonry and the different things Masonry has to offer, and then boom, just like a lightning strikes, you start seeing these Masonic rabbit holes that draw you into some of these esoteric fringe type groups, and you come across something like the ancient Egyptian order of mystic Oriental Sons and the ancient order of Knights of the Mystic Chain, and so on and so forth. Well, I'm Brother Napoleon Sneed Janczak, and today we'd like to talk about one of those fringe groups loosely based on Freemasonry and founded by Freemasons, as a matter of fact. And the group I'm talking about today is the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn. Today I'd like to discuss a topic that many Masons come across when first exploring what Freemasonry is, and often find themselves down some occult rabbit holes, which leads to many misconceptions and bloviated perspectives when it comes to our humble craft. That said, the intent here is to educate briefly what this other organization is and what they did at a time when folks wanted spiritual togetherness and a sense of belonging. To be clear, the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn is not an appendant body of Freemasonry. The only connection is that some of its founding members were Freemasons. They also admitted women, which regular Masonry did not. And what you'll find as a common theme is that a lot of these fringe groups are considered, in Masonic terms, clandestine or very much irregular. Now, we're going to explore details of key figures like Mathers, Crawley, and Waite, and briefly go over their rituals and initiatory system. Try to give a short breakdown of magical texts used, explain the correlation and comparative insights with Freemasonry, Theosophy, and Rosicrucianism. And lastly, we'll examine the cultural impact on the modern usages, literatures, art, and modern occult groups. This brief introduction into some of these fringe groups comes from multiple sources, and I would like to give a special shout out to Brother Lee Moniel from West Allis Lodge for lending me his book titled The Golden Dawn by Israel Regardie, and it was the 7th edition revised by John Michael Greer. Now, the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn was established in 1887 and publicly active by 1888. It remains one of the most influential Western esoteric societies of the modern era. More than a secretive magical fraternity, it served as a crucible for a dramatic flowering of mystical thought, occult science, and magical practice in the English-speaking world. A synthesis of Kabbalistic, Hermetic, Enochian, and Theosophical traditions, the Golden Dawn was a pioneering attempt to organize the chaotic threads of Western occultism into a comprehensive initiatory system. This essay, or this podcast, traces the Golden Dawn's historical development, examines the lives of its central figures, unpacks its esoteric teachings, and evaluates its enduring cultural and spiritual legacy. Victorian Britain was marked by intense contradictions. Imperial ambition coexisted with spiritual searching, scientific rationalism walking hand in hand with a renewed appetite for mysticism. In this environment, the Golden Dawn emerged as both a continuation and a reimagination of earlier esoteric movements, such as Rosicrucianism and Freemasonry. The era's fascination with ancient Egypt, spurred by archaeological discoveries, lent an exotic and authoritative aura to esoteric orders, which claimed to preserve timeless wisdom. Spiritualism was also on the rise during the mid to late 19th century. Seances, mediumship, and table rapping were widely practiced, and many sought deeper spiritual truths in the wake of religious doubt induced by Darwinism and modernity. It was in this spiritual, volatile environment that the Golden Dawn arose, offering a more structured and disciplined alternative to diffuse chaos of the Victorian spiritualism that was happening at the time. At the heart of the Golden Dawn's origin myth is a series of cryptic handwritten texts known as the cipher manuscripts. These documents outlined a grade system and magical curriculum incorporating hermetic, alchemical, and Kabbalistic content. William Wynne Westcott claimed to have received the manuscripts from Reverend A. F. A. Woodford, and with the help of Samuel Liddell McGregor Mathers, decoded them into a comprehensive ritual system. Crucially, Westcott fabricated a correspondence with a German adept named Fräulein Anna Sprengel, asserting that she granted the charter to establish the Golden Dawn's first temple. Though Anna Sprengel's existence is widely regarded as fictitious, this myth provided the necessary spiritual authority for the order's founders to proceed. So in 1888, they established the Isis Urania Temple in London. Now, let's go through some biographical portraits of these founders. So, William Wynne Westcott, born in 1848 and died somewhere around 1925, a London coroner by profession, Westcott was also a Rosicrucian and Freemason, deeply immersed in occult studies. His organizational acumen helped translate the vision of the cipher manuscripts into an actual initiatory body. Westcott also authored or edited numerous esoteric works, including translations of alchemical texts and Kabbalistic commentaries. In many respects, Westcott served as the administrator of the order's early years, anchoring it in the British occult tradition and maintaining ties with the Societas Rosicruciana in Anglia, abbreviated the SRIA, another initiatory society to which both Mathers and Woodman belonged. Next, we have Samuel Liddell McGregor Mathers, born in 1854 and died right around 1918. Charismatic and intellectually ambitious, Mathers brought the Golden Dawn to life through his energetic translations and ritual elaborations. He added many layers to the original structure of the order, incorporating Enochian magic, Egyptian deities, and Renaissance grimoires. Fluent in French and Hebrew, Mathers translated texts such as the Book of the Sacred Magic of Abramelin, the Magi, and the Key of the Solomon. He relocated to Paris in 1892, founding the Hathor Temple and presenting himself as the sole earthly contact with the mythical secret chiefs. Mathers' increasing autocracy, coupled with his eccentric lifestyle and close ties to Aleister Crowley, eventually alienated many of the members. And next we have William Robert Woodman, born in 1828, living to dying in 1891. A skilled botanist and physician, Woodman was the least prominent of the three founders in public rituals, but he was deeply respected in the SRIA. He contributed to the Golden Dawn's initial documents and teachings, particularly those involving Rosicrucianism and the symbolism therein, and alchemical allegory. He passed away before the order's internal crises began. The most notable members and their contributions are Aleister Crowley, born in 1875 and 1947, Arthur Edward Waite, also born in 1857 and dying in 1942. Possibly the most infamous member, Crowley joined the Golden Dawn in 1898 and quickly ascended the ranks. His unconventional behavior and disregard for tradition caused friction, especially with A.E. Waite. Crowley's eventual break with the Golden Dawn led to the founding of his own esoteric religion, Thelema, which was deeply influenced by Golden Dawn rituals and symbolism. His writings, such as Magic in Theory and Practice, retained much of the system's architecture. Arthur Edward Waite, or A.E. Waite. Waite brought a Christian mystical sensibility to the Golden Dawn. After the order's fragmentation, he created the Fellowship of the Rosy Cross, emphasizing contemplative mysticism over ceremonial magic. His work on the Rider-Waite Tarot deck, illustrated by Pamela Coleman Smith, remains a cornerstone of modern divinity practice. Next, we have Florence Farr, 1860 and dying in 1917, and this is our first female founding member. An actress, writer, and adept ritualist, Farr championed the role of women in the order. She collaborated with W.B. Yeats and developed her own magical practices focused on sound and vibration, including the use of Egyptian chanting. Farr directed many of the Isis Urania temple's rituals and initiated numerous members. The Golden Dawn was modeled after Masonic and Rosicrucian initiatory grades, with an emphasis on personal spiritual ascent. The journey of the initiate mirrored the Kabbalistic ascent up the tree of life, from the material realm, Malkuth, to the divine, Kether. The three orders, or what we would say in Masonry, the 3 degrees, are thus: the first order, neophyte to philosophus, focused on foundational esoteric knowledge, geometry, tarot, astrology, the 4 elements, and introductory ritual work. The second order, adeptus minor to adeptus exemptus, admitted only those who had shown spiritual maturity. Members studied advanced magical rituals, Enochian calls, talismanic magic, and spiritual alchemy. The third order, known as the secret chiefs, the supposed non-physical overseers of the order's spiritual current. Their reality was debated even among senior members. Initiations involved elaborate rituals based on Hermetic Egyptian and Kabbalistic imagery designed to imprint archetypal structures upon the psyche. Magical tools such as the lotus wand, sword of the Hierophant, and hexagram rituals were used to align personal energy with cosmic forces. Their esoteric curriculum and practices were Kabbalah, Enochian magic, alchemy, ceremonial magic, and the tarot. The Kabbalah was used as the structural foundation for both initiatory grades and magical correspondences. The Enochian magic borrowed from John Dee's angelic system. This formed a core part of second order rituals. The alchemy part was treated symbolically rather than literally as a process of inner transformation. And the ceremonial magic derived from Renaissance sources, notably Agrippa's 3 books of occult philosophy. And the tarot, of course. Each card was assigned astrological, elemental, and Kabbalistic attributes. The Fool's Journey represented the initiate's spiritual evolution. Journaling, pathworking, astral projection, and meditation were encouraged. Members were expected to integrate their ritual work with the ethical self-discipline and philosophical study. Freemasonry is one of the elements that built these groups, or built this particular group, and they stole heavily from it. The Golden Dawn inherited much of its degree structure, symbolism, and secrecy from Freemasonry. However, while Masonry emphasized moral development and brotherhood, the Golden Dawn focused explicitly on practical magical training and spiritual ascent. They also used Rosicrucianism. Both traditions claim hidden knowledge and initiation into divine mysteries. The Golden Dawn built upon Rosicrucian texts like the Fama Fraternitatis, reinterpreting the mythic history of Christianized Hermeticism in a magical rather than merely philosophical framework. Theosophy. Madame Blavatsky's Theosophical Society, founded in 1875, shared many themes with the Golden Dawn: reincarnation, karma, hidden masters, and spiritual evolution. Yet the Golden Dawn differed by emphasizing Western esoteric systems rather than Eastern philosophies. Still, there was cross-pollination. Members of both groups often attended each other's lectures and rituals. Now, there were crises, schisms, and, of course, decline. By 1900, the Golden Dawn was unraveling. Crowley's forced initiation into the Second Order, orchestrated by Mathers, created a schism between the London and Paris temples. Internal accusations of fraud, inflated egos, and power struggles fractured the original unity. Some of the key breakaway orders included the Stella Matutina, founded by Robert Felkin, continued many original practices. Alpha et Omega, Mathers' posthumous lineage. Fellowship of the Rosy Cross, Waite's mystical inclined order. Despite fragmentation, many of these groups carried forward the Golden Dawn's corpus, preserving texts and rituals. Now, they have a legacy and a continuing influence, and particularly in the modern occultism. But the Golden Dawn provided the structural backbone for nearly every major 20th century magical order, including Ordo Templi Orientis, the OTO, Builders of the Adytum, BOTA or BOTA, Servants of the Light, Society of the Inner Light, Tarot, and Popular Spirituality. The Rider-Waite-Smith Tarot, directly inspired by Golden Dawn's teachings, introduced generations to esoteric symbolism. Its influence extends from divination to Jungian psychology. They also dealt with literature and the arts. Golden Dawn's themes permeated the works of W.B. Yeats, whose poetry often explored spiritual evolution, Dion Fortune, who embedded magical principles into her novels, Alan Moore, who references Golden Dawn cosmology and Promethea and From Hell. Their cultural studies, scholars such as Ronald Hutton, R.A. Gilbert, and Francis King have examined the Golden Dawn's impact on modern spirituality, identifying it as the foundational force in Western magical revivalism. So, in closing, the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn was more than an occult society. It was a renaissance of Western esotericism, synthesizing centuries of magical thoughts into a single operable system. It empowered a generation of seekers to pursue the great work of spiritual realization. Despite internal conflict and institutional collapse, its ideas persist in rituals and symbols and philosophy and in the hearts of countless modern practitioners. The Golden Dawn's motto, Quod est inferius, est sicut, quod est superius, as above, so below, remains a potent symbol of its core ideal, the unification of the human with the divine. So there you have it, the Golden Dawn in short form. I encourage you to look into these fringe organizations, and you'll find a lot of Masonic influence behind it. In those days, schools of thought and wanting inclusivity was prominent. We see a little of that today with groups and organizations offering different avenues and options to help break loneliness. Freemasonry has always been a place for good men to be better by getting together and learning from each other, helping communities through various charitable endeavors. We are relevant and we are present. That said, I want to remind you that these are not Masonic organizations. They are offshoot stuff that people had just made up to satisfy a need for that particular time. And I'd encourage you to look at your Grand Lodge in your jurisdiction, or whatever state or province or country you may live in, and find out where the real Masonry is happening. Thank you for joining me, Brother Napoleon Sneed Janczak, and the entire Further Light team on your quest for more light through Masonry. Are you interested in learning more about Freemasonry in Wisconsin? Visit wisconsinmasons.org to learn more about Masonry and access further educational content and more light. Once again, that address is wimasons.org. Any questions, comments, or suggestions, please email us at education@wisconsinmasons.org. And thank you for listening.